Having just done the front engine suspension rubber, I thought, well, whilst it's all apart, I might as well take the head off and see if that needs decarbonising. I'd already drained the radiator and as much fluid out of the engine as good. But there's a wee tap on the side of the engine there, and that's just draining out quite a bit more fluid, which is fine. I have to get rid of it. Don't think I want too much water in the oil. So yes, to get the head off, a few bits and bobs, engine manifold, carbs, few connecting lines. There's a vacuum line going to the greasing system, the Rover system, which works very well, by the way. And then just a bunch of nuts and bolts, I guess, to take it all off. Not quite sure. We'll see it all when I get to it. Air filter off. This is on top of the rocker cover, some dodgy washer, spacer and such. And there's that rubber on the inside, double thing. Throttle linkage disconnected here, that way I don't have to disturb any of this lot. Then it's 2 bolts for the carb and a fuel line. Rocker cover and gasket off. Spark plugs disconnected. Just in the process of disconnecting these 4 things. There's 2 panels there, not sure what's behind that, but I don't think the head will come off without it. That's this panel off, like so. This gasket there, which I have to make up, just paper one. There's some quite long discharge shafts there. This engine has the bypass oil filter fitted, which is this big silver jobby. It's got a clean oil system, so we can actually do 2,000 miles between oil changes rather than 1,000. This is, so that needed to come out of its screw port there before I could take that panel off. I have to take the condenser out in order to get the bolts out of the oil filter, so we can get to the last spark plug. Well, that's all the easy bits removed. I made a bit of a shortened spanner by just making a 15mm slightly bigger to undo one of the exhaust nuts. That worked. The next thing, is take the rocker off. Now in the book it says tie the outer 2 together. I assume that is so that the whole lot doesn't come flying off the moment you lift it up. That really would spoil my day somewhat. Only 4 bolts holding it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, 6. Okay, 6 bolts holding it. 7, 8. No one's at the end. Well, we're getting somewhere. Getting 8 bolts now. Once that's done, should be able to lift the lifters out. Well, we're getting into very deep, dark and uncharted territory here. Right, we shall see. Right, I have loosened off all the nuts on the top. Then you can lift the rocker arm, and these lifters are then loose. So to get the blighter down will be quite entertaining. I haven't taken it off completely yet. It's the next stage. Well, that's the rocker assembly off. They're all nuts bolted onto studs, apart from the front one nearest to the radiator. That has a bolt. There's a mixture of 5/16 and whatever the next size down is, 3/16 or something like it. Anyway, they're all Whitworth sizes, by the way. The whole machine is, the whole car is. So if you don't have a set of Whitworth spanners, there's no point even starting on this. Yes, the tension on all the nuts wasn't that much. It's nipped tight, basically. It's not forced tight, it's nipped. That's it. Right, so these jobs should now lift out. They do. Oh Jesus. Oh well. Yes, so we'll see how that all works now. I'll keep them in order. Sounds like a good plan. Right, and now for taking the head bolts out. There's a whole rack of them. 4 here, there's 2 below, and then there's 2, 4, 6 or so at the top, 7. I have checked the torque on them, and they are all torqued to spec. If you want to know the torque spec, then I really suggest you get the workshop manual from the Rover Sports Register. Is invaluable, that book. It shows you everything you'd ever need to know, and probably some bits that you will never have to know, but it's all there basically, and those boys have done an enormous job compiling all the stuff, so I'm not going to throw away all the torque settings and whatnot. Yes, so undo all the bolts. The radiator feed for the back has been loosened up. The exhaust manifold has been loosened up. So yes, undo all the bolts and hopefully things will come apart. Well, a little bit of a surprise. Wasn't expecting that. 5 of these studs have little locating pins and corresponding washer, I guess you'd call them, to locate them in place. Then the last one, where the bolt goes here at position number 1, that one has just a locator without the pin, obviously, because that. Also, in order to lift the whole assembly clear of the engine, and the studs are here, so it needs to come fairly high up, I need to remove the thermostat for the radiator. Now, as far as I understand, that metal pipe jobby is filled with ether. You break it, or you let any air into it, it won't work. That's it, basically. Not sure what the hell you do then. So this is gonna have to be undone here, tied out of the way. Then I think this stabilizer strut for the radiator needs to come out, because otherwise I don't have enough space with the exhaust manifold attached to it. So yes, another few bits to be undone, but well, we're getting there. Right, small complication has arisen. Got the radiator thermostat out of the way, and that's stay, no worries. Everybody happy? I can only lift it so far, i.e. about 2.5 inches or so, not enough to clear the studs. And the wiring loom, which runs around the back of this radiator pipe thingy, is snagging on a bolt or a stud. So I can take the nut off, fine, dandy, but it doesn't make any difference then, because I still have the stud to contend with. So the only way to get it out of the way, as far as I can see, is to undo the front mountings, which I've just put on, and drop the engine a bit, so you actually have the space to get past the wiring loom. Either that or cut the wiring loom, but that's a bad idea. So, yeah, not ideal. But hey ho, we'll get there eventually, despite everybody working against me. Well, that's the head removed. I did have to drop the engine a wee bit just to get past. It's this bolt here, one that's protruding here, there, that one. It's basically fouling the wiring harness which runs underneath it. Don't know why, but it does. Oh no, over the top of it. So in order to get around it, you need more space. Anyway, it's off. Everybody happy. Top looks alright. The bottom looks alright. Head gasket is in one piece. That's just a bit of fluid. The cylinder, or the combustion chamber, 1 and 2 seem to have a little bit more carbon than 3, and 4 seems to have a bit more as well, so not sure what's happening there. Anyway, made myself a very handy piece of wood to scrape off any carbon deposits. Should do that. Don't really want to go to town with metal wire. I guess copper might do it, but a piece of wood does it as well. Anyway, so we'll have to take the valves out one by one, number them up, so they go back in where they belong, and clean them up, lap them back in again. And yes, we'll see what else is going to happen. No doubt something will go wrong. I'm going to leave the exhaust manifold and the inlet manifold on the head. It's got some copper type gasket. I think if you take that off, it's just, you have to find another gasket for that. I don't have that. I do have another head gasket, of course. So yes, onward. Well, I had to get the old valve pusher from up on top of a cupboard. Just something I knocked up quite a few years ago, and it does work. I mean, what I've done is I've also put a block of wood, a shaped piece of wood, in the combustion chamber, so the valves don't get pushed right down. It's a soft wood, so it should not, and it's shaped, so it should be alright on the valves. So yeah, I've taken 2 out. I am labeling everything. Everything goes into its own little pot. The inlet valves, outlet valves, all the springs, everything gets separated out. Don't want to get caught out. That, oh no, you should have. Anyway, so yeah, I'll get I've taken 2 out, get the rest out, and see what state of affairs is. Right, bit of an experiment trying to get the carbon out of the combustion chamber. I mean, you can see here there's actually a fair ridge of it there. The face of the block I managed to clean off quite nicely with a bit of a scouring pad and some brake cleaner. It worked an absolute charm, that. Really cleaned it up well. But it does not want to touch the combustion chamber carbon. So, we got some carburetor fluid. We'll try that on one. And then we have some brake fluid. We'll try that on another one. I know there's people having all sorts of fantastic ideas, but I thought I'll try these 2 first. I've got them. I do like the whole idea of setting on fire with oxygen, but I don't know. With me, it'll go hopelessly wrong. I'll probably set the house on fire, and it's not ideal. So yes, interesting. Well, that's the head back together again. All the valves cleaned up, tidied up. The combustion chambers been tidied up. it's not perfect, but perfection is hard to come by. I guess if you had a copper or a brass brush, you'd do a probably tidier job. Having tried both the carb cleaner and the brake fluid doesn't do anything. It may do on other cars, it doesn't on this one. So the carb cleaner did make it a lot easier. It softened it up, but you still need mechanical interference, i.e. a scraper of some description. I think a brass one would be quite a good idea, being nice and soft. Although being a cast iron head, you are less likely to do a lot of damage, even with a screwdriver. Yes, so quite pleased with that. This is just staining. It doesn't seem to want to come off. I have no intention of taking any more off the head than is absolutely necessary. I mean, you can't feel any ridges, so that should be alright. Then oops. And here are the valves with their springs all back in one piece. I did manage to ping off one of the valve spring holdy jobbies, piece of little thing. Went flying through the workshop here, and I found it. Probably will never do that again, but there you go. I have no intention of letting it go fly again. Learned from that one. Anyway, so yeah, that's this part of the cleanup process done. Right, time to try out my modifications, or not modifications, my rebuilding of the head after decarbonising. See if I've done it right. Here goes nothing. I think you can safely say that works. Woo! Well done me.